What's the sweetest lie someone told to help you without you knowing? I'd always been the smartest kid in my class, but my family was broke. Like, really broke. My parents worked cleaning jobs at the airport and always told me, we'll get you there somehow, whenever I talked about college. But I knew the numbers didn't add up. My mom made $8 an hour and my dad made $9. There was no way. My junior year, my counselor, Mrs. Douglas, pulled me aside. She had this serious look on her face that made my stomach drop. Lena, you made it to the finals for the state academic scholarship, she said. There are only 3 students left. I couldn't breathe. This was it. Full ride to any college in the state. I went home and told my parents, and my mom actually cried. She hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. We knew you could do it, baby, she whispered. I spent 3 weeks working on that final essay. Stayed up 3 nights straight, revised it 10 times, had my English teacher look at it twice. I wrote about growing up watching my parents come home exhausted every single day, about studying by flashlight when the power got cut off, about wanting to be the first person in my family to graduate college. 2 weeks after I submitted it, Mrs. Douglas called me into her office again. This time she looked sad. Lena, I'm sorry. The committee chose someone else. I didn't cry. I just nodded and said, okay. But inside I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. I walked out of her office, sat behind the school cafeteria by myself, and stared at the parking lot. All those cars belonged to kids whose parents could just write checks for college. That night I told my parents. My mom hugged me again and said, there will be other chances, sweetheart, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew this was probably my only real shot. The thing is, Mrs. Douglas had lied to me, because I had won. I'd actually won the whole thing. But she knew something I didn't know about the runner-up, this kid named Alex whose dad had just died from cancer. If Alex didn't get that scholarship, he'd be homeless by summer. His mom had already moved in with relatives 3 states away, and there was no room for him. Meanwhile, Mrs. Douglas knew I was smart enough to get other scholarships. She'd been watching my grades for 3 years. She knew I'd find another way somehow. So she did something that could have gotten her fired. She secretly submitted my winning essay to this national competition called Young Authors of America. She wasn't technically supposed to do it without asking, but she did it anyway. 3 weeks after she told me I'd lost, I got this thick envelope in the mail. My name was typed on the front in official letters. Inside was a letter that said, congratulations, you've been selected for the Young Authors of America Full Tuition Award. I ran downstairs screaming, actually screaming like a crazy person. My mom was washing dishes and she dropped a plate when she saw me. What happened? I shoved the letter at her and she read it 3 times before she started crying. Then we were both crying and hugging each other in the kitchen, while my dad stood there asking what was going on. The scholarship was even better than the state one. Full tuition plus room and board at any college in the country, plus a $2,000 book allowance every year. I couldn't believe it. Neither could my parents. When did you apply for this? My mom asked. I didn't, I said. I have no idea how this happened. Mrs. Douglas never told me the truth. I didn't find out until 5 years later, when I was home from college for Christmas. I ran into her at the grocery store and thanked her for everything she'd done for me. She got this weird look on her face and said, Lena, can I buy you coffee? We sat in the Starbucks inside the store and she told me everything. How I'd actually won the state scholarship, how she'd given it to Alex instead, how she'd submitted my essay to the national competition behind my back. I knew you'd hate me if you found out, she said, but I also knew you were strong enough to make it either way. Alex wasn't. I stared at her for a long time. Part of me wanted to be mad. She'd lied to me, made me think I'd failed when I'd actually succeeded. But then I thought about Alex, who I'd heard was doing well at the state university. And I thought about myself, sitting in that same coffee shop with a degree from an amazing school that I never would have considered if I'd taken the state scholarship.